Okay, hello and welcome to our Conversations to Connect. Let's get real. CyndiONeill-Dady, the founder of Exceptional Connections and Chief Connector here. The inspiration of our weekly Conversations to Connect, Let's Get Real talk are we want to be able to create purposeful conversations to be relevant during these uncertain and challenging times to support our community to make an impact in the world. And so I'm really honored to introduce Tricia James Melvin from Austin, Texas. She's a beloved member of our Exceptional Connections networking team for many years. She was a spotlight vendor doing her POP accessories, and she outfitted us all beautifully. We miss you greatly, Tricia, and we're really thankful to have you. That's one of the upsides of this pandemic is the world just got smaller, and Tricia and I have been having a lot of wonderful conversations, and we've asked her to join us today. So she's going to be talking about her personal experience with the power of resiliency, a topic that's more important today than ever before, right? We all can benefit from her experiences and the conversation we're going to be able to have today. So Tricia is the founder of POP Accessory, business coach, and she pivots to offer self-development and transformational workshops and seminars. And so I majored in English, and so being the study of words is always something I'm intrigued by. And so I thought before we get this talk off to a start, I will define resiliency. As they share with us from the Oxford Dictionary. We have a member of our society that might be of interest to him. So you like that, Chuck? So resiliency, as defined by the Oxford Dictionary, is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness. Does that resonate with anyone? It sure resonates with me right now. It also talks about the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape or elasticity. And that became part of our conversation as well that you'll be able to enjoy. So in light of those definitions, I also looked up a quote that Andrew Zolli, I'm not familiar with his work, but I loved his quote. And the quote is, "Resilience is the capacity of a system, enterprise, or person to maintain its core purpose and integrity in the face of dramatically changed circumstances." So today Tricia will be sharing with us 4 markers for resiliency to support and empower us during these turbulent times. So Tricia, tell us a little bit more about yourself before we jump right in here and talk about the power of resiliency.
All right. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here today and great to reconnect with ECN, Exceptional Connection Network. And I'm here in Austin, Texas, and like everybody else, cooped up in the house with trying to avoid getting COVID-19. But I'm Tricia James Melvin, founder of POP Accessory. And also a business coach. I help put women into business in the accessory industry. And with COVID-19, I am tapping, which I'll talk a little bit more about, but I'm tapping back into what I used to do in my early 20s as a workshop and seminar leader for emotional mastery. And so I'm pivoting now because I think more than ever, we will be needing to be out there to help other people that are going to be dealing with the after effects of being part of this world event. And there are going to be a lot of emotional, people are going to try to process a lot of the emotions going through this very difficult time. So I feel like there is a calling on going back to what I used to do before and to offer that in the coming weeks and months ahead. But today, I really want to talk about the 4 pillars of resiliency through my own experiences. I'd like to begin with what I call gaining knowledge. I was born dyslexic in the 1960s, and nobody really knew what dyslexia was in Singapore. That's where I'm from. So I grew up with, not being able to read till I was 11 years old. So I missed out on a lot of the formative years of reading books and understanding it, and was really, there was no support for me really in school. So I had to be resilient. There was no other choice. So I was called dumb and stupid, and why aren't you like your other sisters? I went to a convent type school with all the nuns, and so they would always be comparing me with a lot of my own family members and also my peers. But however, what I realized when I was able to read at the age of 11, there was something happened in my brain. It was like a light bulb moment. I call it my little miracle from God. All the words came together. I was able to read, and I believe that one of the most important things in growing your resiliency is to gain knowledge through books, by listening to mentors, or go out and seek mentors that is in the same field that you want to pursue, your life journey, and just in reaching out to your networks too, by gaining knowledge. And it doesn't really mean like by gaining knowledge, it's to learn just about things in your own industry. I also believe that sometimes you have to step out of the box and learn about other things. This year alone, I decided to study neuroscience. I am taking a course in neuroscience to understand how the brain operates, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But number one is to gain knowledge. Read books, reach out to your network, talk to other people that you feel can mentor you. Actually go out and seek a mentor. My life changed by actually going out and seeking mentors that have taught me so much about not only resiliency, but about my potential and where I can really express myself and who I am. So number one, gain knowledge. Cyndi?
Well, I love your story, and thank you for sharing it with us, because it really does, we have to go through things. When like the definition that we read to open up this conversation, it's the ability to recover quickly, right? And so as a young girl, you had a light bulb moment, right? Mm-hmm. You had an opportunity where, you were being told that you weren't good enough, you couldn't read, you were, something's wrong with you. And yet you were able to push through that beautifully and be able to, really embrace learning.
That's right.
On your terms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm a mom. I homeschooled my 3 kids, and they're all very different. My firstborn, right out of the gate, bright, reading at 2.5, I'm running after her most of her education and facilitating, giving her, the graph paper she needed or whatever she needed. For my boys, it was more like polling, and it's a difference between kids. And so we're all different. We all have different learning styles. We have different journeys, but thank you for sharing your journey. And I loved that in the midst of it, you came out triumphant, right? And yes. You have the ability to recover and thrive, not just survive. Exactly. So that's a beautiful thing. There's different titles. We all have, dyslexia, ADD, ADHD, right? Whatever title people put on, if you're not like everybody else. But, so tell us more about your growing up story and how that helped frame you and create, helped you to be who you are today.
Well, if I had to go back, I think the very first challenge that I had was growing up in a family that was multi-dysfunctional. My father was an alcoholic. We're a family of 5. My mom had to take care of making sure that we had food on the table. And during the late 60s, early 70s, work in Singapore was really scarce for my dad to really earn a good living. He was a civil engineer. So just the dysfunction and growing up with older brothers and sisters, I had nowhere to really turn to. So my escape was to have a conversation with God since I was 5 years old. And I always saw God as my big friend in the sky, so I think that was the time when it really helped me to have someone to talk to, even though I couldn't see him. But one of the things that really helped me the most when I was 13 years old was the book Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. It was a book that I picked up off my uncle's coffee table, and I actually read it and understood everything it was telling me to do. And it gave me a window, per se, a window to seeing that I could better my life, that there was a way to better myself. And so I truly, and this is coming back to gaining knowledge, I think that first book that I read from cover to cover was gaining knowledge, that there was a way out from my situation, that I was born into a dysfunctional home, but that doesn't have to remain my true story for the rest of my life. So yes, thriving is so much better than surviving. And that comes through gaining knowledge.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's different, we survive, we strive, but ultimately, the beauty of being able to be resilient and bend and not break is to thrive, right?
Absolutely.
So I love that. And I love that what I'm hearing you say is resiliency is essentially a muscle, right? It's a muscle we develop, and we all have challenges in our life. Sometimes we don't understand why we have those challenges, but I believe they're there for a reason. And frankly, the reason is to help us to be stronger and overcome, not to, my mindset is to help us be better, not to kill us.
That's true. What doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
That's right. Exactly. So that's the lesson, essentially, right? The lesson of resiliency and gaining knowledge and opening up a whole new world and a new, kind of vantage points is that truism that you just shared. What my mom used to say that all the time, Cyndi, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And it's like, okay, I can do this. We don't grow by ourselves, right? So we grow together to be able to support each other. And that's what I see this conversation to be all about, is you get to, hear somebody else's journey and story, and parts of it resonate, maybe parts of it don't, but we could plug into other people's journey and, and become stronger as a result.
Absolutely.
So I love that. So the first marker for resiliency was gaining knowledge. And so let's move along to the second marker is that you've identified is mindset.
That's right.
So share with us, Tricia, the critical role that mindset played in overcoming obstacles in your life.
Well, so much. Going back to that first book that I read, that was a mindset changer, because what it required me to do, the book Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, was to write down all the things that I wanted for myself. And when I was growing up, one of the things I wanted was to travel the world. So what I did was I took this piece of paper and I wrote down all the countries that I wanted to go visit. And then the second thing the book said to me was, now, before you go to bed every night, read your list out and then visualize yourself being in those countries. And then I was thinking to myself, now, how can I do that? How can I actually visit all these countries? Oh, I should be a flight attendant. So I visualized, and this started at the age of 13. So I visualized myself being a flight attendant, traveling to the list that I had on, a list of countries I wanted to visit. And at that age, at 13 years old, I really could see it in my mind's eye. I could close my eyes at night before going to bed and actually see myself as a flight attendant in the Singapore Airlines costume. And I would be offering people, whether they wanted chicken or beef. And this was my visualization. And I would do it. And the book said, do it every night. So I did it every night. And I would fall asleep just visualizing this. And, the next thing it said, you have to take action. Now, I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm now 16 years old. And I've been doing this every night, not kidding, 3 years.
Wow.
And now I'm 16 years old. I opened up the newspaper and it says, oh, open house for Singapore Airlines flight attendant for interview. So I'm 16. I'm not even at the right age. But the book says, get some experience, put it into action. So I go, I apply for the job. And I get into 3 interviews. And by the time the 3rd interview comes about, all the big wigs are there and they're looking at all the details and they look up and they look at me and they say, what are you doing here? You're 16, get out. So I was thrown out of that interview, but I gained so much experience because I watched how they handled the interview, right?
Beautiful.
And so I kept going back. The following year, I went back, same thing, they threw me out. By the time I was 18 years old, I met my mentor in the accessory business. It was a summer job. I ended up going to Hong Kong and traveled with her all throughout Asia and Europe. And now I'm in Hong Kong and I opened up the newspaper and I'm now 21 and there is an open house at the Hong Kong Hilton Hotel. And I go there and guess what? I become a flight attendant, right? I got the job. So this book was very pivotal. It taught me in terms of mindset that what you can think, right, you can create. Right. So that was the first time where I felt like, wow, this really works. So my mindset is definitely visualize, put what you want on a piece of paper and read it every night and visualize yourself doing that. That's the first story in terms of mindset that was very powerful to my life.
Wow. I love that. There's so many pieces to what you just shared that I think are just amazing in terms of, the visualization, being a student, right? Being unstoppable. And, when you look back in retrospect as a young girl, okay, 16, you weren't going to get hired, but think of the experience you learned between you were 16 and 21, right? That set you up for success in your life. Being willing to not let no be a closed door for you.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's beautiful. So it's, a lot of what I'm hearing is your thoughts, mindset is about being open. It's being coachable. It's not being limited, right?
Right.
And all of those things make up resiliency. And I mean, we could be talking about a number of things, but the focus today is resiliency because, it resonated with both of us when we started talking about, what do we want to share? What do we want to get real about today? And, given the shelter in place mandates, that's, everyone in the world has experienced it. How many times in the history of the world do we have a common experience that we're feeling not just in our home, not just in our neighborhood, not just in our state, not just in our country, but in the world, right?
Right.
We're having a common experience, and resilience, being resilient at the end of this, I think is just to be able to bounce back, whether it's in our business, in our mindset. Something that was coming to mind for me in terms of just bringing this, kind of anchoring this to our current world and current situation is how many people are going to come out of this with PTSD, not wanting to leave their homes. And some people are introverts already, and that's their inclination. And I've talked to a number of introverts recently. I've been doing a lot of Zoom calls, and they are very happy right now. Introverts love this, what's going on in the world, because they don't have to go out and push themselves and, network, in the real world. They can just do their stuff in the comfort of their home. And, but at the same time, I want my desire in this conversation today at this time in history is to encourage all of us, no matter if we're an extrovert or an introvert, to realize the importance of having a healthy mindset and the practices that you've shared from your life that can make a difference. And I'm looking forward to hearing from those on the line, who are on this call right now, to hear their opinion on that. So write your notes down. We want to hear about how mindset has made a difference for you during these times, these challenging times, as well as just in your life. So, we talked about the journey of resiliency starting in the birth canal, right?
Yes.
So that's a story that I can relate to right now, because my son, we have a 1-week-old granddaughter that was born in Evergreen Hospital. And, and luckily the mom didn't have to push too long. So she came out pretty quickly, but there's that struggle at the very beginning of life, right? That's important, right? We talked about that. So
right.
What is your perspective on, that in terms of the conversation with resiliency?
Well, definitely. I think you're right in terms of, I think we learned from day one coming through the birth canal. We have to push through. I mean, if we don't push through, it takes resilience of that baby to push through. And if we stop that process, something gets missed out in our lives. So resiliency is a process. And we rush things too quickly, it doesn't turn out the way we want to. You have to go, no matter how hard the journey is, you have to go through the process of resiliency. So no matter what's coming at us, we have to push. Sometimes we have to pull, but most of the time with resiliency, we have to push through that wall, push through the difficult challenges that we're facing. So definitely, I believe that, Cyndi. I believe that resiliency starts at that birth canal.
Right. And it continues through childhood, right? So
Absolutely.
You think about your kids learning how to walk. I mean,
Yes.
they fall and then you encourage them to get up and keep going, and they fall. And, if we rescue our kids, we're not helping them, right? Yep. We're handicapping them. And so, I mean, I think it's important to just take a moment to pause and think about the process of life that, it starts when you're born, when you're a toddler, us as parents, allowing our kids to fall, being careful, taking things out of their way that are going to harm them, but, giving them, it's good to fight for something. It's good to struggle. That's part of the journey. And then it reminds me of a story I heard years ago about caterpillar, right? So the caterpillar sits on the leaf, it eats and gets to a certain point where it forms a chrysalis and a little cocoon. And there's a story of this man that was watching this, butterfly to bee, struggling to get out of the cocoon. And it just really upset him that this poor caterpillar, wanting to become a butterfly, was struggling so much, and he wanted to help it. And so he went and got a pair of scissors and he cut the little chrysalis so that it could allow the butterfly to get out easier. And I guess the lesson here for all of us, is how much that harmed that caterpillar or that butterfly. So the butterfly, because it didn't have the struggle, the natural struggle of getting out, it never developed its wings, and its body was big and bulbous, so it never flew. So he essentially handicapped that butterfly from ever being able to be its true self and do what it's supposed to do, right? So it's interesting because that's an important reminder that, when we go through tough times, they're not meant to harm us in most cases. I mean, there's a mindset shift there, right? we could look at it as a bad thing, but it's important to also embrace that the journey and the struggle are there to refine us and to make us stronger.
Absolutely. That was a beautiful story, by the way. Very, very powerful. And going through a process and not allowing something to stop the process of your development, you know?
Not handicapping somebody else's development.
Absolutely.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And mindset is such an important thing. It is really crucial, especially during this time. We really got to think and take time to think about where we're at with our mindset and how we're looking at the world currently. Are we looking at this COVID-19 as a negative thing, or can we look at it in positive ways that perhaps after this is all over, the world will be a better place, that there will be more gratefulness in what we had prior to COVID-19? And think about all the inventions that are being developed right now. I mean, there are a lot of good things happening behind the scenes. As we see it as a negative, in the back of it, there's a lot of positive things taking place, and we will come to know what those things are when this is over. So with mindset, again, visualization, writing down the things that you want, reading great inspirational books, stepping outside of your box to go learn something new, perhaps, because you just never know how learning something new might propel you into creating something extraordinary for yourself, right? And seeking out mentors with a great mindset, right? Because then by osmosis, you could shift the way, where your mindset is, whether it's negative, you could shift it into a more positive mindset.
Right.
I really don't believe that without a positive mindset, you could actually create anything positive. Without a positive mindset, you cut yourself off from possibility, really. So that's how important mindset is to resiliency.
I agree. That's wonderful. And so, basically what I'm hearing you say, and what I'm, in having this conversation, what I'm being reminded of is resiliency is really a journey, not something to overcome in the moment. It's a flow, right? And through that process, we do become stronger. I mean, like we said, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. It comes from the inside. It's something we have to dig deep, right? That's what I'm hearing you say as well. I mean, as a young girl, the fact that you had dyslexia, there's a way in which it slowed you down. It made you feel like you weren't enough. But look at the beautiful woman you are today, and the strength and that comes from that. So it's very encouraging. So how can we, Tricia, reframe our conversation about mindset to support the challenges that we're all experiencing right now with the shelter-in-place mandates and what we're experiencing today in the world?
I think the most important thing we can do for ourselves going through COVID right now is, prior to COVID, we usually plan not just for what you're doing for the day. We usually plan out. We're looking at a week from now, 6 months, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and what we're expecting in, say, maybe our businesses or in our personal lives. But even with that kind of mindset, we have to pivot now into bringing our mind into the present. I think what's going to get us through this is to stay in the present moment, and it's not easy. It's not easy to pivot and just try to think about the now moment. So we have to now kind of train ourselves to do that, because it's so important to have that kind of a present moment mindset now, because by thinking outside, where you're thinking a week from now, 6 months from now, it's going to cause anxiety. It's going to make you feel like, because for me, I'm a type A personality. I want to get up and go, go, go. I want to I want to go meet people. I want to learn new things. I want to be outside of my house. I don't like being in my house. I feel like I'm in a cage right now. So it's very difficult for me personally to train myself now mentally to get up in the morning and to, yes, I do have a plan for the day. I don't have a plan about what I'm doing tomorrow. I just have to plan. Maybe in the night before I go to bed, I would say, well, tomorrow I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'll write it down. But that's all. It's today. What am I going to do today? You know, I had this meeting on my list today, and I'm doing it. So it's moment by moment. Very important right now to focus on present moment time. And one of the things that being in the present moment can really help is it will lower down your fear factor. Because when you start thinking about tomorrow or the day after a week, the fear factor comes up. Can I achieve that? Because we have an achieving brain. The brain needs a goal all the time. So if you bring yourself into the present moment, you know, and have, like I say, faith without fear, right? And have your facts without fear. So if you have the facts, the fact is that right now, we have to be present. That's a fact. If you want to be without fear, live in the present right now.
And don't listen to the news.
And don't listen to the news.
Refrain
Like, cut off the news. I mean, we don't want to bury our head in the sand, but just don't go to the main news media. I mean, try to get some information off of reliable sources online, but just to sit in front of the TV day in and day out, what it's doing to your reptilian brain, which is your fight-flight part of the brain, it is just feeding that beast. I mean, it is just, you have to stop feeding that reptilian brain of yours, or mine, and just cut that addiction off, because fear can become an addiction. And think about, whenever I think about fear, I think about the entertainment world. And I think about the amusement park. Think about the billions of dollars that's being made through the amusement park. What do they do in the amusement park? They scare you to death when you're taking the roller coaster ride.
You pay them to scare you to death, right?
Exactly. So there is some excitement to fear, too, which, you know, the amusement industry taps into. But there is also the sad part of fear, which is depression, suicides, right? Anxiety. So we are in control of that. We're in control of our fears. We're in control of our time. So I encourage everyone to start thinking during this COVID time is to just come back into present moment.
Beautiful. I love that. So the lesson again is just, you know, to put a bow around the mindset reframe is to stay positive in the present moment, listen to positive speakers, right? Limit the negative exposure. And I love your use of choices, to choose, right? Choose powerfully the things that are going to feed us and nurture us and help us, as opposed to those things that are going to tear us down right now. Basically to take responsibility, right? For our well-being, our mindset. I love that. Okay, so let's move on to number 3, self-care. Okay, so part of your strategy for your markers that you've identified is self-care, taking care of yourself. So tell us more about that. How has that helped you? Do you have personal self-care testimonial that's helped you on your journey?
Absolutely. I think that I have never taken my my health or self-care as seriously as I have in the last couple of months, only because, I mean, just like a lot of people, we wait till there is a problem and then we start thinking about self-care. So I had an emergency in January of this year where I had a high blood pressure of 214 over 108. And I ended up in the emergency room. And I really thought that I was going to say goodbye to the world because it was that bad. And so since January 24th, I had to reevaluate everything that I was doing. And I realized that I placed everything first before me. You know, I placed, of course, taking care of my family first. I placed my work first, my business, you know, just friends. Everybody was first before me. And I wasn't really loving myself enough because, you know, you're not brought up to, at least I wasn't brought up to like put myself first. It was always think about others, do for others. But I realized that I really have to do for myself first because I have a lot to offer in terms of, you know, offer to my family, to my friends, and to the rest of the world. I mean, I have something that I'd like to share like I am doing today, but if I'm not taking good care of myself, I won't be able to do any of that. So what I did starting January 24th, because that was the day I ended up in the emergency room, I changed completely. It was like a light bulb just came on. I mean, my life is always like this light bulb moments. You know, I have to get to this point of a light bulb moment before I completely change. I'm that stubborn. But my light bulb moment was I have to change my diet because I was not eating bad foods, not eating on time. And now I'm on a plant-based, I went right plant-based diet. You know, I want to reframe that, not a diet, but a lifestyle. Because I really don't believe in diets. I do believe that everybody needs to find a particular way of eating that they feel healthy and that they are getting results from. So for me, it was definitely a plant-based lifestyle. For 30 days, at first I tried it for 30 days. I have never felt better. My numbers have gone down from 214 over 108 to 137 over 75. My gosh, that's really good.
Good job. Great job.
So this has been through January. So absolutely self-care. I mean, this is the time we're indoors. I mean, we're not out running about. Start thinking about self-care. Am I really taking good care of myself? And if I was going to take better care of myself, what would I do? And write those things down. And
Right.
then you're not going to be perfect. I said to my husband, who lost 13 pounds on the same lifestyle, plant-based, he ate what I cooked. So, you know, he lost the weight. He was like, wow, I've lost 13 pounds. And so it's so very important to find what works for you with self-care. What I do is I change my food. I do meditate. I do meditation. I like meditation. Being a type A personality, meditation helps me just free my mind. It's kind of a restart button for me that I press. You know, just forget everything. Just whether meditation through prayer if you're a Christian, or meditation through just focusing on your breathing in and out, really it shifts your state. So it really puts you in a different state of mind, usually one that is very relaxing when you come out of it. The other thing that I like to, part of self-care is actually also having someone to reach out to that you can talk to, you know, whether it be a pastor, whether it be a best friend. I think it's important to have these kind of conversations. That is also part of self-care.
Connecting is healthy, right?
Yes, exactly.
It is.
So
It's more than just making that, you know, having a conversation. I'm sorry, go ahead.
there's never been a better time in getting healthy because of social media. There's so many, you can download a lot of apps that you can follow along with. And because of the internet, you can go and do your own research on whatever you're dealing with your health, and you know, practice. One of the things that I did tell my husband when he started, you know, he was on eating all the plant-based food, and then one day he was watching TV and he was eating a bag of chips, and I didn't say anything, and he said to me, "Oh, honey, I just ate a whole bag of chips." And I said to him, I said, "James, just remember, this is not a diet. This is a lifestyle." So what that means is it's not perfection. It's progress, not perfection.
Right.
That's all you need to remind yourself when you change your lifestyle. It's progress, not perfection.
Right. I love that. That's great. And in order to be resilient, we need to be strong, right? And I love your focus on self-care because it's all about starting with ourselves. But the interesting thing about that is it is contagious, especially if you're the mom making dinner for the family. Everybody else
That's
is going to have
true.
to, kind of step up there. But in the end, we get to choose.
Right.
Individually, we get to choose. And so self-care, some ideas are, we talked about, like, soaking in the tub, or
Yes.
going to bed early, eating well, the things we expose ourselves to, like we talked about the mindset, having healthy things inside of our body and outside that we're exposing ourselves to. So for the lesson for self-care, just moving us along here, so we have time for Q&A at the end. Now more than ever, it's important to make ourselves a priority. And, as we were talking, it reminds me of like the airline admonition. They always tell you, put your own masks on first. We can all relate to the mask part, right?
Right.
It's a crazy world out there, a lot of masks being worn. But it is important to take care of ourselves, just like that airplane analogy, so we can be of service to our family and our friends and support them. So, like you, I've been on a self-care journey that's really, I've upped my game in the last couple of years with my own challenges, and I'm thankful for that. That's part of my journey for resiliency is, I heard you mention this earlier, you've been a person that always took care of everybody else.
That's right.
Hello, anybody else out there can relate to that one? So I've been a caregiver myself, and it doesn't mean I'm not caring for other people now. It just means I'm considering myself where in the past I didn't. I put other people first. And I see now that that didn't serve me well. So I appreciate in the big picture that we're talking about of resiliency, and the ability to be able to bend and not break is embracing a new perspective, right?
That's right. And what did we talk about, Cyndi, about the goose, right?
Oh, the goose laying the golden egg, right? You got to take care
That's
of the
right.
goose.
You got
We're
to take care of the goose. Because if you don't take care of the goose, no golden eggs. And we're the goose.
That's right. Right. And every one of you out there, you're the goose, so we got to take care of the goose so that we can be able to produce that golden egg and take care of our families and ourselves.
That's
Okay,
right.
so drum roll, please. We're out to the resiliency marker number 4, which is money. That's a hot topic.
It is a hot topic.
So how does money relate to resiliency
Wow.
for you?
For me, a lot, because I grew up with very little. I mean, I grew up in a family where I had to share my food with my brothers and sisters, right? And so I didn't have a very good model for money because my model for money was always struggle. Watch my parents struggle. And if you think about how we all grew up and we think about how our parents handled money, we have a lot to untangle when it comes to money. We have to, if you were not brought up in a home that, that had a lot and had very little, then your whole idea of money is associated with struggle. And how do I get out of that? So for me, it has been a long process and a long journey, and it's a constant reevaluating, my relationship with money, right? And so
early experience is very formative, isn't it?
it is, absolutely. And a lot of people are not very good when it comes to their relationship with money. There's a lot. I mean, so it's an important thing to reevaluate and to take a look at, and not to shy away or be fearful whenever you look at your bank account and what it says. Not to be, I mean, one of the most important thing with money is to eliminate fear of not having enough. If you can just do that, if you can work on an affirmation, perhaps, I have more than enough money. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly without any incident or delay, right? So we have
say that again. Say that again.
money comes to me easily and effortlessly without any incident or delay.
I love that.
Okay.
I love that.
So
I had to, I just wanted to
sure.
share, I took an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming workshop, and the context of talking about money and how you were raised and how formative that experience is. So I came up with my own mantra. Can I share it?
Yes.
So mine is, money flows quickly and easily to me, and I deserve it.
Amen.
And it took me a long time to come up with that, because you had to, look it in the eye, like look that fear, look that, negative perception of money in the eye, and turn it on its heels and be able to say, money flows quickly and easily to me. Because for me, growing up, money is, you got to hold on to it, you got to work hard, all those things that I had to overcome, and I deserve it. So, I think money is a really important conversation when it comes to resiliency and the flow of money, like we were talking about.
That's
and
right.
All those mantras about money doesn't buy happiness, but we need it, right?
We do.
Necessity.
Yep. And it is a necessity because, look, we live in an economic world. And if we have a mindset that says, oh, money is not important, we don't need money, then what will happen with that sort of a mindset? How does it play out in our lives? We end up perhaps not having money. We end up not being able to pay a rent, and we may end up being homeless. That mindset is a very dangerous mindset to have, right? That money isn't important, especially in a world that runs on it. It's like fuel to your car, right? It's like gas to your car. If you don't have it, your car doesn't work. So money is absolutely a necessity in a world that we live in. And we have to find ways of being creative on bringing that flow, that cash flow into our lives. So I'm always thinking of ways, many different ways. You may be a doctor, or you may be an accountant, but we have been taught to have just one cash flow. But by reading books and by listening to my mentors, we should have many flows of income coming in. And this is why it's so important to tap into your resourcefulness, to tap into your abilities. Because even though I say I'm an accessory business coach, and I've done transformational workshops, I went out to learn how to paint scarves. And I had scarf workshops, which is another flow of income, when I was living in Washington State, and I did my workshops at Malbeck's, for those of you that live in Washington State, which is a beautiful garden shop. And, I made $2,000 a workshop. So with 20 people.
That's awesome.
And I mean, I didn't know I could paint. I mean, believe me, I can't paint or draw, but I went out and I went to learn how to do simple ways of painting a scarf. And then I created a business for myself. So especially now with COVID-19, we have to go back into our past and look at the things that you've done in your past, right? Not just what you're doing now, but go back and look at the things that you've done before, the skills that you've gained before, and start thinking, can I use this when COVID is over and I can't continue to do my business for whatever reason that I have been doing for a while? Can I use one of my skills that I've had way back there and pull it forward? So like myself, one of my skills was to be a transformational workshop and seminar leader that I was when I was 25. So I had to go back and say, wow, I've got this skill and people are going to need my help. So why don't I use that skill after COVID-19 and just go out and help people and get that residual income for myself to live on, right? So I would like to encourage everyone to think back and think about your skills that you have and think about whether you can use those past skills in moving forward after COVID-19 is over and done with.
I love that. It's important. What I'm hearing you say is the importance of rethinking, reframing, refocusing ourselves, and reinventing as well.
Exactly.
And bringing things, there's skills that we can develop now in this time of sheltering in place that can serve us, that we're able to develop over, that we don't normally have the time to, devote to.
Right.
And then there's also, I love what you're saying about pulling things from the past.
Push and
Right?
pull.
Yeah, it's not about compartmentalizing our life. Okay, this is, I am this. Because we're so much more than that. We're the sum total of our experience and experiences that we've had in life. So Tricia, in wrapping up, I want to have you be sure and share with our listeners a story of starting your business in the Virgin Islands with zero cash flow investment.
Oh my word, yes. So I moved to the Virgin Islands in 1993. And with only $4,000 in my bank account. It was right after divorce. And I worked for a short period of time managing a perfumery on St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. But prior to that, I had gone to Indonesia for vacation, and I met up with some manufacturers there for accessories. And they loaded up 3,000 accessories that were available to me for import onto a disc. And I loaded that disc onto my laptop computer when I got to the Virgin Islands, and worked for a while as managing a perfumery, and got to know a lot of the people on the island. And then I realized I had all these accessories loaded on my computer, and I said to myself, I can do this. I can import accessories and distribute it throughout the islands to all the stores. So I loaded that up. I went, store to store, showing retailers what I could import for them for the tourist market. And I said, hey, if you ordered a container load of these things, this is how much it's going to be, which at the time was $10,000 a container. And out of that, I made $5,000 per container.
Wow.
In one day, I had 3 container loads. 3 customers ordered a container load. So that was 3 containers. Okay, I made $15,000 with a laptop with 3,000 accessories loaded onto my laptop, and that was zero investment. So what I'm saying to everybody out there that's listening, a lot of people complain, oh, I can't start this business because I don't have the money. If there is a will, there is a way. And I was desperate. I knew that, where I was, it wasn't where I wanted to be. And I used my skills, and with the help of others, this is important, to reach out to others, to your network. With the help of others, I was able to create a business for 6 years. And then because of a medical problem that I had small little benign tumors on my pituitary, I sold the company. I didn't shut it down. I sold my company for a profit, and I started with $0.
Wow.
That's my money story.
That's beautiful. I love your resourcefulness. I love your can-do spirit. I love, your ingenuity. And really, we need to pull all of that into today and what's going on, because the world we're going to step into is, I believe, we're not going to have the normal. I think it's going to be a new normal. Yep. And, my heart, my desire for myself, for my business, and for all of us to be relevant on the other side of all this. And so, I think what I'm hearing from you, and I just really appreciate the inspiration from your story, Tricia, is the encouragement that we need to be thinking outside the box, right? We need to be like, how can I recontextualize my skills in a way that's relevant now? One of the stories that Debbie Page told when we did our first talk on March 10th was about the buggy whip. The guy that made the buggy whip out of leather, and how he was making a lot of money. And then what happened? The advent of the Ford car, right? And so, I don't exactly know what happened to him, but he there's the chance that he went out of business and became irrelevant, or using his skills with leather, he could have created, covers for the cars.
That's right.
So I love that story because it reminds me, okay, what are we doing? What do we know? What skills do we have that we can tweak to meet the needs of this new world we're going to be walking into? They might be small tweaks. They might be huge tweaks. They might be shifts in what we're doing altogether. But I love you including money, because money is a kind of a touchy subject, right? We'll talk about our laundry before our undergarments before we'll talk about money in many cases. So thank you for that beautiful story. So what is your number one lesson of money in helping to eliminate fear, just in closing?
Well, I think my number one lesson, again, it comes back, to eliminate fear, is you have to work on that mindset every day about money. You just have to. I mean, especially if you came from nothing. And I think without having, bringing into focus where you're at with money, you can never change it. And fear is false evidence appearing real, right? That's what fear is about. So every day when you get up, give yourself the opposite of fear, the evidence that you have money, right? And it starts with gratefulness. Even if you have $1 left in your bank account, man, I still have $1. You're not down to zero, right? So the lesson is to stay positive about everything, but mostly about this one particular thing that we run away from. And we should face the fear of not, first face the fear like, hey, yeah, I only have $1 left in my account. That's reality. But guess what? I can do this and this and this, right? If I put in the effort. Or I can find a mentor that knows and that you can see is, successful in their lives, and go ask them questions about money. Because again, I'm going to say this, money is a necessity in an economic world. There's no compromise in that.
I love it. Yes. Resiliency is having a mindset of constantly looking for opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's ways that you can rethink things, or retrofitting your own skill sets. I'm going to read something that I looked up. Able to recover quickly from misfortune, able to return to the original form after being bent, right? Compressed or stretched out of shape. So we'll just go ahead and open it up here. So thank you so much, Tricia, for sharing your wisdom, for the seasons that have helped you make you who you are today. None of it was a mistake. It's all, it forms us and shapes us. So for those of you on the line, you're welcome to unmute. Uh-oh, I hear some background noise. And then if you have any questions, or you want to jump into the conversation with us and talk about some of the things that, gaining knowledge, self-care, the mindset, the importance of mindset. Love to hear the feedback for those of you who are joining our call today. You'll have to unmute yourself though. And just raise your hand and I'll call on you, because I think That would make it orderly. So Dave, hi Dave. Thanks for
Hi.
joining us from Vancouver.
How you doing?
Great to see your smiling face.
Thank you. It's good to see you all. So thank you, Tricia. That's really good thoughts. It's really echoed a lot of what I've been experiencing. Some of the things that have come really clear to me are some truths that are easy to forget in the world that we tend, in the culture that we live in. One of which is I'm not in control. And we like to think we are, and we comfort ourselves thinking that, but the reality is we're not. And we see, and when we come into a situation like this that's so far out of our control that we can't deceive ourselves any longer, it kind of brings that truth back home. The second truth is I have everything I need. There is nothing that I need that I don't have. And then the third truth is today is all there is. So that, Tricia, you talked about that, living in the present. And we don't have any guarantee, the other reality this is brought home is that, people who are healthy are ending up dead within days. And we don't have any guarantees of how many days we're going to live. And so all we have is right now. And so this morning, my wife, just before we got on this call, my wife and I were sitting out on the porch and I was reading to her, and it was just an amazing time. We've been having more family dinners. We've been having, my son is at home, he's not in school, so we're playing more games together. Beautiful. It's really an opportunity to stop and slow down. We live in such a world that loves hurry, busy. And it's kind of like God said, nope, stop, slow down, take a look at what's important, and focus on those things. So I resonate with those, the knowledge part. So I've been reading a couple of books. I've been using this opportunity to read books, and one of them is You're a Badass About Making Money, which I got as a gift at the Vancouver meeting, 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Back around. And that talks a lot about money mindset. So that's been good. The other one I've been reading is Fanatical Prospecting. And that's been helpful. That's something that I've avoided for a number of years, and am finding ways to do that from home. So the other, I guess the other thing I'd share is this is a huge opportunity for me. I've been in many ways, and without knowing it, I've been spending the last 10 or 12 years preparing for this moment, which is a moment where everybody's looking for a way to do business digitally.
Yes.
And if either more or less, but everyone, we're forced to now figure out how do we do business digitally. And that's something that I've been working on for a long time. I just recently had the opportunity to help a guy who does business that does pressure washing get 90 new jobs within a few days, all digitally. And so there are so many tools out there, and it was such a tremendous opportunity. That's, to me, the real satisfaction about what I do is helping businesses find those opportunities and realize them. So, So the other thing I offer is about money. So the Bible mentions money 140 times. There's a lot to say about it. And I was trying to find the Proverbs, but one of them was, there's a proverb that says something along the lines of, having money is a buffer against the storms of life. So I think, Tricia, that's one of the things that you were kind of alluding to there. I think there's some more to that. So those are just some thoughts that. And then I have time to run. The self-care piece, that was good. So thank you for all those thoughts, Tricia.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for sharing. That's it really warms my heart that you're finding time, that we're slowing down, and you're finding time spending it with your wife and your is it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Yeah, with your son. And doesn't it feel good? See, these are the things that we should focus on right now, right? With COVID. There's a lot of positive things that are happening, even in the midst of all the negative. And this is why, like I say, stay away from the news, because it steals. It actually steals your happy time, So it's a choice. Everything that we do is always a choice, right? So if you're going to watch the negative, then don't complain how negative it is, because it is negative, right? And I'm so excited for you pivoting and perhaps being able to do this digitally, your business. And that's really exciting news. I'm sure you feel really good about that, helping somebody else get so much business. That's amazing.
So share with our listeners, Dave, what your business is, and how to get in touch with you. So if anybody's listening to the recording or on this call and needs your support, we want to be able to.
Oh yeah, so my business is Cognesis Marketing. You can reach me at dave@cognesismarketing.com. That's COGNESIS marketing.com, or www.cognesismarketing.com. And what I do is I really help businesses attract more customers using digital tools. So, and there's all kinds of digital tools out there. There's more every day, and I help. Basically, we take a look at the business and say, where's the gap, where's the opportunity, and put some strategies and execute some strategies that close that gap. So
awesome. Thank you. I love that you brought in how you can reframe things, how you're able to take, your statement about, you've been preparing for this moment, right?
Yeah.
All the things that you've done over the years, maybe that you may have been discouraged about. I'm just making that up. But now you see how you've planted seeds in that soil, and, good things are coming up. And I love the mindset of, we're not in control. We have to choose powerfully what we want to be able to focus on. Like Tricia mentioned, there's so many good things. So thank you for sharing, David.
One last thing I do want to say about control. The only thing we have control over is this.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true.
So we do have control.
You have some control.
We can't control what other people are doing, but we can control us. So yes, we do have control when it comes to us as an individual.
Yeah, yes, I agree.
I love it. Yep. Beautiful. So we've got a little bit more time here. If anybody has any other questions or insights, unmute yourself and join in the conversation. This has been fun. And it's just a great reminder for all of us, right? I mean, of things that we can focus on. Just raise your hand if you want to chime in. Allison. Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Introduce yourself.
I'm Allison Elland, and I'm a counselor and hypnotherapist. And I work with people who have all kinds of things going on, from anxiety to chronic illness, sleep issues. And I also work with nutrition to support people who have anxiety and depression and want some more inner calm and actually have, the body balanced out. So that's what I'm doing these days. And I guess in my conversations with people lately, what I'm finding is that, when people start saying, well, what if this and what if that, and I guess to reframe the question is, it's like, well, what if something good happens? What if, the changes that we make today are, positive for our family, for our lifestyle, for the human race, so that's just kind of, I guess that goes with what Tricia was just saying, just to look at that.
Yes. So you're recontextualizing things for them, which is beautiful, right? And I think that's something that we can do for ourselves as well as what you were doing for others. That's a beautiful thing. I love that.
With powerful questions come powerful, answers. So even when we're questioning ourselves in our minds, it's good to reframe those questions into powerful ones.
Yes. And then the power of gratitude as well. Dave brought that up as well. It's just to be thankful for what we have and know that that's enough for now. We have, just our current situation. And like Tricia was mentioning, focusing on the present moment. That's important as well.
You know, actually on that, one of the things I've discovered recently, because I've been practicing more quiet time in the morning more consistently, which is another thing you mentioned, Tricia. And one of the things I do is I have a list of small things I'm thankful for, and I read through that every morning. Things like vision, hearing, being able to breathe, stuff that I don't, and you talked about deserving it in a way, and I understand what you're saying, but in a way they're gifts that we don't at all, we have not earned. And so I read through that list and I'm refreshed. I can't be grumpy after reading through that list of all this stuff, my son, my wife, food, clothing, sunshine, fresh air, all that stuff. You read through it and it's like, this is an amazing gifts that we've been given. And every morning after I read through that list, I'm refreshed, I'm ready to go. Because of all the things that have been given freely that I haven't worked for.
Right. It's grace, right? That's what grace is.
Totally.
Something we haven't earned.
Yeah.
It's given to us freely. That's beautiful. And yeah, I mean, that's what we have the ability, like Tricia has, laid out here, to be able to fill our minds with good things. We get to choose what we fill our minds with. And I think that's a positive. I mean, I think it's important to be mindful that there's a lot of people that are struggling and a lot of people that don't have access to positive choices because they get pulled into it by a lot of negativity, by their past, whatever. And so I think it's important in this conversation to be compassionate, have compassion for others, and to also stand up for, in our own lives, gratitude and choice and things that we can control. There's so many positives out there in the midst of a lot of sad things and negativity. And one of the things that comes to mind for me in this conversation is just how we have given Mother Earth, if you will, a break from us humans. And when I think about that, it just brings so much joy to my heart, because when in the history of man have we pulled back? I mean, I know we didn't do this intentionally for this purpose, but pulled back as a human race. We don't have as many planes in the air. We don't have many cars on the road. We don't have people walking through parks. And, we're giving our earth, we're giving nature a chance to rejuvenate. And it is. And it'll be interesting to see the studies that come out after all this on how much time did we buy ourselves, in terms of our air quality and, whatever the temperature in the world and different factors. How much time have we given ourselves just by pulling back unintentionally and giving our world? So I don't know. When I think of that, I'm in awe of all of the blessings that come from difficult things that happen in the world, and how we have the opportunity to reframe things, reinvent ourselves, rethink things, refocus. We've had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just still so present to it, even in this conversation. So.
Well, there's no excuse now that I think we should have one day called Global Rest Day, where the entire world just, step back and take a rest.
Yeah.
Don't we have Earth Day this month?
Oh yeah.
I thought Earth Day was in April.
It'll be the best Earth Day ever.
Yeah.
Give new meaning to Earth Day and
I saw a picture this morning of the Himalayas. Apparently, for the first time in decades, you can see them from India.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the ripple effects. I've been thinking about this. You think of a stone. You throw a stone on clear water, and you see it jump. You see the concentric circles and how far they reach, to even the other side of the lake or whatever, depending on, but the trajectory. But I mean, the ripple effects of good that are going to be occurring from this. People stepping forward and making masks. I mean, people that are deemed essential services, we actually have the opportunity now to acknowledge them and thank them and see that they are keeping us our society moving and growing. I don't know. I just love thank you, Tricia, for creating a context, creating a topic that we can all just kind of be focusing on these 4 pillars, if you will, and allow us to see things differently through different eyes. So anybody else want to chime in their thoughts or questions, insights before we close our conversation today? Roxana, and then Nancy.
Thank you so much, Tricia. This was amazing. And I really loved, it's always so personable when you hear people's personal stories. And it's beautiful. Like I've known you for a while, and it's beautiful to hear your journey and your perseverance and to be able to put it in a way, it took me on your journey to understand all of that. It makes me more aware about the whole piece of your journey. But what I also wanted to share is about the learning, the ongoing learning. I feel like I wrote like 3 pages of the book. Gaining knowledge. I feel like that's one of the beautiful things about gaining knowledge is as entrepreneurs, we're always like trying to pivot here, to pivot there, and the shift here and the shift there. That's part of our journey, is we're always learning and evolving. And I'm glad that you brought that up. And as the first one, gaining knowledge. And it's so true to always be learning and to be the student of life. And that's what I took it as, and never to stop the journey. And I'm definitely a student of life, and I love to learn. And I remember also when I first started my business 6 years ago, I couldn't afford a coach, but I did, I read books, I went on YouTube, I downloaded podcasts, and, just found out all that amazing information that's out there online from all these mentors. And people would ask me, who's your coach? And I said, well, Tony Robbins. I was studying by him. I was downloading all his, all these podcasts on YouTube. And I feel like that's exactly what it is, that, gaining knowledge, and we're always on the journey. So I want to thank you for giving us all this amazing 4 pillars today. I have so much information I'm going to be reading a little bit later. So thank you.
Great. I do have a quick story about Tony Robbins, very quick. So when I was in the Virgin Islands with my import business, I was listening to Tony Robbins at the time, and my best friend who owned the building, she owned a water company, and the Tony Robbins seminar came into town, and they needed water for their seminar. And it was a 3-day seminar. They came over to where I was, and asked my girlfriend if they wanted to trade. So they would give her tickets to the Tony Robbins. It was $5,000 to attend the seminar. And they would give her tickets, and she, in turn would give them water for the seminar for 3 days. And she couldn't make it. So she called upstairs. She says, Tricia, I know you listen to Tony Robbins. Do you want to go and attend this seminar? I said, are you kidding? So I got a $5,000 ticket free for 3 days. It was amazing. Amazing. So, honestly, visualization and being hopeful about things, they do come true.
Beautiful. And the power of resourcefulness, right?
Yes.
As it aids and leads to resilience. So thank you for that, Roxana. We love you. Roxana is the chapter connector of our Vancouver Exceptional Connections. And we're doing a lot of collaborating right now with our Woodinville and Seattle area community, and reaching out to the Vancouver with Dave and Roxana representing that region. So thank you guys. So Nancy, you'd raised your hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and love to hear from you.
Thank you, everyone. Your comments are wonderful. And I just wanted to comment on this money piece because it comes up a lot. And I work with a lot of people who are learning to move their story of lack into one of abundance, which is actually the truth. There's abundance everywhere. And one of the things that really resonated with me quite some time ago was, if we do not allow ourselves to receive, it's the ultimate greed, because we don't allow someone then to give. And when you put it in that context, like an infinity symbol, that what you put out, you must also receive in, it's very much deeper, because money's just an energy and a tool. And like Tricia, like you said, it's just, you know, this world moves on it. And complacency and apathy around money, or whatever stories we grew up with that were stories of lack, if we don't change them within ourselves, we allow the continuance of money to be in the wrong hands, which is not necessarily the hands that build us all together in unity. So becoming friends with money is a great practice. And in helping someone recently who really had some severe programming as a child with lack, we began with 1 penny. And because everyone has, where we live, money, you can find it on the street by accident. Whatever, whenever you find it, have it, give it to something that really matters, something close to your heart that you actually believe in, whether it's something that provides for children or takes care of the planet or sheltered animals or whatever. But begin that process of giving, because watch, it will come back. And then give again. And this particular woman went from being able to give 8 cents to 80 cents. And she was choosing the 8s on purpose because of this concept of infinity, to $1.08, 108, it's a nice number, to $8. And in less than a year now, she's got 3 different businesses running that are all in line with her passion. But literally was homeless. And so anyone can do it. Like Tricia said, it takes that desire to choose change for yourself and to be a giver in the world, to be someone who stands for others. So I just wanted to offer that. It's always been a profound story in my life.
Thank you, Nancy.
Wow,
It's beautiful. And Nancy, mention what your business is also and how our listeners can connect with you.
Well, things going on, but you know, we entrepreneurs do. So I'm an artist and a designer, an illustrator, and I'm designing a community garden for with a gentleman from Zambia, and then we're also rolling things out in Africa, so that we can unite the world that way by growing food and beauty, and then bringing our gifts of art, music, dance, and culture into beautiful garden spaces.
Nice.
And then I'm also, and have long-term been working with Sunrider, helping people regenerate their body with food, and being able to find how, especially right now, how to feed your immune system deeply so that whatever comes up now, our body has the armor for it in a safe way. And just recently actually was helping my sister-in-law and my brother who got COVID-19. And within a week, they are back. They turned the corner, and it was already in the lungs. It was very severe for my sister-in-law.
Oh dear.
So amazing what the body can do if the body has the right combination of whole food. And
yes,
you know, I'll just say here, if any of you are interested, I'd be happy to put a code in the chat or something, because Allison and I are hosting a call tomorrow morning for people just wanting to know what this philosophy is. There's no obligation. Or
yes, please do. So for Dave and for those of you on the line, please put your name and your email, and if you want to add your phone number on the chat line, so that we can, if you found somebody on this call that you want to connect with, that's what we're all about. It's all about connections, right?
Yeah, we're happy to include everyone. I mean, I just feel like right now, anything we can do to help each other get stronger, it's essential.
I love that. Thank you, Nancy. And thank you for sharing, you know, another piece of this that we didn't really have the time to explore, but, you know, giving and receiving, that's a beautiful dance. And, you know, as is breathing in and breathing out, you know, because that's what money is. It's creating that flow, right? You know, giving it out, bringing it in, and not having it be stagnant. So beautiful analogies. So it is 1:31, and so I'm going to wrap a bow around this conversation here. Thank you very much for all of you who are on the line. You know, hang on there for a minute, and I'm going to review our schedule here. So we've been doing Resource Mondays. We kind of renamed it Resource Monday Virtual Tea, noon to 1. So love to have you join us. Our conversation to connect, let's get real next week on April 15th is with Marley Huber. Marley is a member of our Exceptional Connections community, Woodinville community. She's serves as a photographer, capturing just our meetings and just the things that we experience collectively. She's going to be talking about deep stillness creates the space for creativity. And this woman is a deep thinker like Tricia. She just has a lot of heart and soul. I'm looking forward to hearing, having the conversation with her. And then on this Thursday, we're going to be collaborating with Leeds Referral Network at noon to 1. And so Melissa Levine and I are going to be putting together our networking organizations, Exceptional Connections and Lead Referral Network. And she's going to be sharing with us a little bit about speed networking. So we're going to get members of our community and her community together. She's going to share her format this week, and at another time we'll take the lead with the Exceptional Connections kind of mission and format. But we'll be going into breakout rooms with somebody you don't know and have a chance to actually connect with them in a meaningful way. So we hope you'll join us this Thursday from noon to 1. And then lastly, we'll be doing Happy Hour Friday. So if you can join us from 4 to 5 this Friday and every Friday for the next couple months, it's just an opportunity for us to just get to know each other, have fun, let our hair down. The last couple weeks, we've been writing little musical parodies and singing them. We'll be recording them this week. Nancy Jutton's going to be on the line with us. I think a lot of you guys that are on today were on last week. So we'll just be having fun. So the last piece is on Tuesday. So April 14th, we're going to be going forward. We've met for the last 10 years, I've met the second Tuesday having our networking luncheons, and we're going to be pivoting from our physical luncheon to our virtual luncheon. So encourage you to go to Exceptional-Connections, the event and the Facebook page, and look for information. Mara Simonia is going to be our featured spotlight speaker. She's going to be talking about how to use Zoom and other resources to be able to navigate these uncertain times, social media options. Brenda Reese, the forgiveness coach, is going to be talking about leading with forgiveness. And you'll have an opportunity to do a 30-second commercial. So we are offering a special rate of $25 to be a part of this. You'll get your link, special link to join us when you register. And we hope to have you be a part of that. So we're offering 3 opportunities a week complimentary, and we're keeping our networking luncheon going. You know, we talk about the benefits versus, you know, the things that we're having to experience that are not so good or not so favorable right now with our shelter in place. But I'll tell you, one of the benefits is seeing Allison's face, meeting Nancy, having Rick Shauna be part of our meeting, Dave from Vancouver, Chuck's on the line, Tricia from Texas. I mean, what a beautiful thing to be able to bring people together from different regions and have us be able to pool our energy and our insights and be of service to each other. So thank you all for joining us. I pray that you will all stay safe, and for your families, pray that the things that we talked about today can be of service to you and encouraging you. And I'm just going to toss it back to Tricia for any closing thoughts.
Well, thank you so much for everyone being here today. Thank you, Cyndi, for this opportunity to really a great platform to express myself, to tell my story, and all that story is all bottled up inside of me. So it's awesome to be able to share that, and hopefully people listening in and people attending will take away some nuggets from this talk that we've had today. It's a wonderful conversation, and hopefully I'll be able to do many more of these in the near future for ECN. Thank you so much.
Go Tricia. Thank you guys. Take care. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday or Friday this week if your schedule allows.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys. Make sure you copy things from the side too. Thank you, guys. Grabbing that. Hey, Chuck. Thank you, Nancy.